in a world of uncertainty.
Rivers jizzing in his pants, and then you bring up your wife in the next sentence. Like, I know where we're going. What is going on?
There is only one place you can turn for fair dinkum advice.
One word, unbelievable. 2 words, holy shit. 3 words, oh my god.
A place where the undeniably American
It sounds so weird in like an Australian accent.
meets the undeniably Aussie.
Hey, let's stop the foreskinning for some absolutely wonderful segments later.
Where the analysis is solid
I, for one, was not one of those haters, as I picked a Rams victory.
Look, I think he can get over 150 yards in this game, easily.
Kick his ass, Taylor Bass!
and everything else is out to kill you.
There's going to be shrinking nutsacks all over the place.
Welcome to the Aussie NFL Fantasy Show.
G'day, and welcome to the Aussie NFL Fantasy Show. You know me, my name's Matty C, host of the show, host extraordinaire, to be honest. Look, before we kick off our show, I do this every single time, and hence my new office here. It's pretty spacious. I'd like to pay our respect to the traditional landowners of the lands from which we're all dialing in from tonight. Where Manjot and I are dialing in from is traditionally Ngunnawal and Ngambri country, today called Canberra, and we'd like to show our respect to the elders and the leaders who are past, present, and emerging from the Ngunnawal and the Ngambri people. But then also for Taylor, he's dialing in from an area called Darawal, these days called Wollongong. And we'd also like to extend that same respect to the elders and to the leaders there, past, present, and emerging. Show our respect to the folks who traditionally held the land. It's a tradition that we do here now in Australia, which I think is hugely important. And I think no matter where you live, whether you're on this great vast continent or you are from across the seas, it'd probably be a cool thing to find out who are the traditional landowners of where you are and learn a little bit about them. Now, before I go any further too, I'm going to hit our social media, because I tell you, our social media is becoming a thing. You can find all of our links through the link tree. It's just go to Linktree and punch in Aussie NFL Fantasy. You can put those 4 words into Google. It will pop straight up. But then we've also got all of the links for where you'll find us right there. We've got a YouTube where you can catch all these shows. You can find the Instagram. You can find the TikTok, which we have a lot of fun on. You can find the Facebook and the Snapchat, all by just looking for Aussie NFL Fantasy, and you can also do it through the Linktree. Our Twitter, which is AU NFL Fantasy, and then, of course, our email address, aussienflfantasy@gmail.com, and our Anchor, where you can leave a voice message if you like, but you can also catch our podcast there, anchorfm.aussie NFL Fantasy Show. Now, I also have to tell you, we're on every podcast platform, but you probably know that if you're listening to us. But if you're with us on YouTube, you may not know that. You can find us on every podcast platform, and the links to those are also on the Linktree. But more recently, the 3 of us boys have become analysts for the Fantasy Football Network, representing our very favorite NFL teams. So Manjot, the myth, the legend, through his Pastry Press NFL website, is going to be representing the 49ers, the finest 49ers analyst you can find on this whole wide brown land. Of course, Taylor, who is a Titans guy through and through. You're going to find him. He's on the Fantasy Football Network too, thanks to the Aussie NFL Fantasy Show. And he's going to be providing all that you need to know from Nashville. And of course, your boy here, Matty C, is going to be the Jacksonville Jaguars correspondent. So look out for that. Uniquely positioned, 20 years of being a Jags fan, 15 years of fantasy football. Nobody on this island better positioned to give you Jags tips. All right, let's get this show going. I've got the Holy Trinity sitting in the wings. Let's bring him in, and I'll change my office.
This is the Aussie NFL Fantasy Show.
My takeaway from that game is they played against the Seahawks. They're going to be flappy ass cheeks this year.
Aussie?
Well, we heard you were taking a Lamar Jackson style shit.
Yes, Manjot, I like to do what I do best in this world, and that's where I do some of my best work.
NFL?
Oh, hang on, there's another guy. Daniel Jones is awful.
Fantasy.
Yeah, this is predate the Manjot, the myth, the legend, 100%. Because I was only born in 2017. I'm only 5.
Well, after another cracking weekend of preseason football, and for us too, the Astros draft, there's been plenty of drama going on, and we're only a week away from proper NFL season. It's good to have the boys back too. Taylor, you're looking sharp tonight, mate. What's that in the picture behind you?
Oh, that's just some guy winning the Astro League last year. Not sure who he is, but man, he looks handsome. Chiseled jawline. Kissing the Astro League trophy. What a man, what a man, what a mighty fine man.
Oh, God.
But mate, there's a tingling in my nutsack. It's so close to the NFL starting. It's just going to be a great season. I cannot wait to defend my title, mate. Oh no, I just gave it away. Jeez, it's me. I was the guy that won the Astro League. I forgot about
shit, were you?
But sorry to let the cat out of the bag, but it was me. But mate, I cannot
had
wait.
no
It's
idea.
gonna be fantastic.
Goodness, wow, what a hot start. I mean, this is one of my favorite parts of the show as we get on each week, and I have no idea what your photo is going to be.
Yeah, look, you say it's a hot start. Like I normally make it a cold start. I don't normally say something ridiculous at the start. I normally stay
That's
really
true.
composed.
Really lukewarm to kick it off and just turn up the heat as you go. You never come out of the gate barging, do you?
Yeah.
Speaking of coming out of the gate barging, Manjot.
Yeah, I never smash through a fence.
You never do. Manjot smashed through a fence this week, and we'll talk about it because he drafted the Astro League draft pretty much wingmanless. Manjot, welcome back. You survived.
Yeah, I survived somehow a 16-team draft. It was probably the most fun experience. You boys went on the Zoom, but I was absolutely carrying the Zoom.
He
I
was.
brought all the energy. All the other guys, they're kind of quiet, except Marky Mark and Adam. They're a bit getting in there. And also, I did talk a bit to Joel and met him. I think I met Ryan. Yeah, I met Ryan as well. And then I think
one of our
Kenny,
resident Americans.
yeah, was Kenny there? I think he was there a little bit. But
He
not
might have
much.
popped in at one point. Yeah, I knew
Yeah.
he was going to have a bit of a tricky day.
Yeah, I think Jerry was there. That's what I'm thinking of.
And
No,
Jerry, and he's pretty silent, you know. He's an absorber.
It
Don't
was
give you a
just
lot.
us two in the Zoom, and I was trying to say hello to Jerry, and the dude would not say hello back. But no hard feelings. He was just silent, no camera on. I'm just sitting there. I'm like eating my finger bun pre-draft. I'm eating that finger bun and sipping on the tea. That's how I was preparing. That was my breakfast, and I had it at 11:45 on draft day. Like I just got up and drafted pretty much. I was probably doing some mocks before that, and then just forgot breakfast. Like always.
Wow.
Yeah.
Remember, it's only really a 15-team league because Ryan doesn't make the playoffs every second year, so we can rule out one team straight away.
Yeah. He's the only one we can rule out now too, because even Jackal's broken through and made a playoff berth. So we used to be able to write him off, and now we can't even do that.
Mate, is it once in every 14 seasons he make it there? Let's see.
Yeah, that's it. It's like Haley's Comet, mate. He's not coming back around for 75 years.
This is the Aussie NFL Fantasy Show.
Maddie C.
James Conner's behind the goal. Go look behind the goal. And I look like I'm wearing my dad's shirt. Totally like McCaffrey. It always looks like he's wearing his dad's gear. Fantastic. I'm glad that you've still got the, that luxury of being allowed to lick rhinos still in the back pocket.
Aussie?
And then T. Higgins. Like these are just three guys, Manjot. If you left him in a room alone with, he would totally just lick them all.
NFL
The gap between Connor and Montgomery is closing, by the way. I'm really happy about this.
Fantasy.
Oh, give me a scoop of the Heebies to go with my Jeebies on that one. Mate, I'm all kinds of happy about that. You're like, oh, fucking predictable Matty. Always doing the same fucking things. I'm so disappointed. I really wanted to smack that ass, son. I'm going to go with old Goggles McGee. All right. Are we ready to crack open a fresh can of sleep?
Yeah.
That's a weird way to introduce a segment, but there you go.
It's 11 p.m. So
yep, and I'm an old man, so I'm already looking at being up way past my bedtime.
My kids got up at about 5:45 this morning, so
Oh, God bless the little rascals there.
brilliant.
Now we are talking deep sleepers, like Barry White kind of deep. Manjot, you brought this up in the pre-production meeting. Tell us what you're looking for in this segment.
My darling.
Give us yours as well while you're at it, but tell us what you're looking for and kick us off.
I just want guys that no one's actually looking at. And this was inspired by my boy Motto, my man Simon Motto. He's Simon Mutton is his full name, but Motto is
Motto. It does not get more Aussie than to call Mutto.
Yeah, he's a great dude. Trust me. On the
I love you already,
podcast.
Mutto.
Yeah, Motto, if you're listening, man, massive shout out to you.
Yeah.
Been a great part of the Broncos podcast. Been great to meet you this year. He was looking at his TikToks. He does a little bit of NFL fantasy as well. I was hearing he wanted to ask me for some advice. He saw a TikTok on this guy, and honestly, I can see this guy as a deep sleeper in most 10-team and 12-team leagues. He actually isn't getting picked up. So yeah, inspired entirely by this one TikTok that Motto sends me. This is where the whole segment was. And
Alright.
I'm thinking of guys that are just very low in ADP that could actually break the ADP and do well. So this
Okay.
guy, he's being drafted around wide receiver, I think 58 to 72, depending on the site.
Oh, no.
He could be around like his overall is between like 168 to that's like the consensus overall is
Wow.
168.
Okay.
And he's a very deep sleeping wide receiver on a stacked offense. And this offense is historically, as their wide receiver free has historically been like, I think in the top 30 or something wide receivers every single year. I think it's between the 30s
I'm
and
scared.
50s.
This is Nick Westbrook at Keena, isn't it?
Yeah. Nick
I'm
Westbrook
rattled
agreeing
you're
with
gonna take
this
one of
guy. Yeah, Taylor, who do you think it is?
Mate,
I don't know. I'm so afraid. You've just been like dick
This-
teasing me this whole like last 3 minutes. I'm so rattled.
Foreskin
you're
on
gonna take
foreskin.
one of mine.
All right.
No, and
So-
I've got to just quickly throw in here too. I only bring up Nick Westbrook Akina because he was actually a legitimate start in our league last year. That's how bad it gets. So his name actually gets known in our league. We're probably the only league on earth who knows him. But yeah, Taylor, gee, foreskin after foreskin. Though I could hear you.
Is he going to
dreading
say
what's
like
coming
Van
next.
Jefferson?
No.
Smack
This
it!
guy
Ah.
is even smaller, I think, than Van Jefferson in size. His name, Isaiah McKenzie
Ah, okay,
from the
good.
Bills. Yeah. I think I'm really liking them. I think it was, shoot, who did take him Astro? I think it was Ryan who took him in Astro,
Yes.
but in the 10th round of Astro. So he went around that ADP of 168. I was
Yeah.
getting him in like last round of the mocks, like 13th round. I'm talking in Astro.
Yeah.
And I think
So he
that's,
went for him.
yeah, so that's a good move, I think, by whoever got Isaiah McKenzie. I'm definitely trading for him after this segment. 100%. I'm going Taylor balls to the wall. Sort of trading. Like, screw it. I've learned enough from this podcast to know that I'm trading for the guys I like. And Isaiah McKenzie,
Yes.
I'm actually really into him because the thing about Isaiah McKenzie is that he has that high power offense. And like I was saying, the slot receiver who used to be Cole Beasley, he was actually pretty good in fantasy football.
That's true.
So I think he's going to smash his ADP, Isaiah McKenzie. I'm just seeing it more. And that one TikTok really opened my eyes. I did my own research and shit too. And the guy, he was rattling off facts after facts after facts. I think Isaiah McKenzie is a deep sleeper in any league. And he's just a guy I'm really intrigued by. I'm really excited to get him. It was Jackal actually.
But yeah, I was going to say he could be had because Jackal's also got.
I was
dinks,
going to
so I
say
think
if
you
it's
could
a
have
Bills
him.
player, then Jackal has him.
Yeah, Jackal has Singletary and Gabe Davis.
Everyone
too.
except Jimmy Cook. Yep, that's
Yeah.
He's gonna take Dawson Knox over. God no. Yeah. But there's a lot of Bills possibly that you can take. And it only takes one Stephon Diggs or Gabe Davis injury for Isaiah McKenzie's value to even skyrocket. So you guys, I think in your drafts this week, 100% you guys have to look at Isaiah McKenzie.
He's got Gabe Davis as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got Gabe Davis and Isaiah McKenzie.
So he has every Bills receiver
And he got
Basically.
Singletary.
and Singletary.
This man has everything.
Oh my
Oh, yeah,
God.
he has Diggs too. Shit, I missed
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, god damn.
So let's just do a quick count up of so who are your starters? And Gabe Davis would be a. Hang on. They can't
No,
both
I did
score on the same
thing when I
drive.
was looking through.
Oh my God. Okay. So Jackal doing magical Jackal things. This is what you can do when you're a mythical creature from 3,500 BC.
He's the Buffalo Bill, the original Buffalo Bill.
Look, I like this because I've got the right player this week. Emmanuel Sanders had quite a productive stay with the Bills when Cole Beasley wasn't being productive. But before that, Cole Beasley was being quite productive as a wide receiver 3. I can definitely buy how this works. Tay, what are you thinking?
Yeah, for sure. I've even seen a few different TikTok fantasy players talking about this. It's definitely a position that Josh Allen goes to. Like, he just likes hitting the slot. I have talked about that I do think this is going to be more predicated on Diggs and Davis this year. I don't think the third guy is going to be as good. But again, like that's just a projection. Like, if you're seeing that in the last couple of years with Josh Allen that he goes to the slot a lot with Cole Beasley there, then like why wouldn't you take the shot on McKenzie? Like, we're talking about a 10th rounder in Astro, like, you know, which is basically means he's undrafted in 10 and 12 team leagues. So like, why wouldn't you take the shot on that? And like Manjot said, if either Diggs or Gabe Davis goes down, there's just even more upside there. But even without them going down, I think he actually has value in that wide receiver 3 spot for literally the biggest passing offense in the league. So, you know, why wouldn't you take a shot on that?
Yeah, massive shout out to Motto and the guy who did the TikTok for bringing that to my attention, because I do want to bring that up, because I thought he'd be an interesting player for us to discuss this week, seeing as a lot of drafts are happening. I think Isaiah McKenzie 100% can get on board with him.
Big ups to Mutto, by the way. Fantastic. I love that.
Yeah.
Tay, I need to check in with you because I feel like we often go on a journey with you when you get into the deep bowels of the waiver wires and the undrafted guys, and I'm wet with anticipation.
Well, we're talking deep here, Matty. I like to bring my deep sleepers. We're talking about 2 players, and their ADPs right now are wide receiver 68 and wide receiver 74, and neither of these guys got picked up in Astro initially, and one of them was picked up by yours truly. So, Matty, in the past, I've talked about some players having AIDS, some players then having Yades. This time, it's going to be the KJs. KJ Osborne, baby. Wide receiver 8 and wide receiver 74. Let's go. So I believe these two are in very similar situations to each other. One has a very stable quarterback than lettuce sandwich Kirk Cousins, who I think is actually in for a very good year with their offense. But I'll start with KJ Hamler, right? So I think that Tim Patrick going down, and obviously not, happy to see that happen. I think he was in for a very good year. Yeah. But you bring Russell Wilson in, this team is going to pass a lot more. There's no way they bring Russell Wilson in and don't let him cook. Like, he was able to basically pick where he went. There's no way this team asked for Russell Wilson to come to the team and got him not to pass and just hand the ball
like
off.
Pete Carroll.
Yeah, like he did.
They used to let Teddy chuck it, so they're going to let Russ chuck it.
So this team, I think, is going to use a lot of 3 wide receiver sets. So I think with Tim Patrick going out, I think this actually opens up a massive opportunity for KJ Hamler. People actually forget in the same draft that Judy was in, where he went in the first round, KJ Hamler actually went in the second round. So they basically went wide receiver in the draft. And people just sort of forget because Hamler basically did his knee very quickly. Yep. But he is unbelievably quick. I think he's under a 4.4. I think he's 4.32 for his 40. He's absolute lightning. And I just think he could be a really, really good in a really good situation in Denver as the third wide receiver. I think that position is his. I think he's a very, very good sleeper. And I just think this team is going to pass a lot in that division. I've talked about it a million times. There's going to be times where they're behind. They're going to have to come back. Russ is going to have to throw a lot. And I just think Hamler's in a very good situation. Osborne, I believe as well, is going to be very similar, where he's going to be in 3 wide receiver sets as well. And he actually had a very, very good season last year. And then there's also the potential upside of, let's say, Thielen, who is 32 years old, goes down. He sort of steps into that role as well and becomes a bit of a target monster in the red zone. I just think he's got a massive opportunity in that team. And that team brings a new offense that is just going to pass so much more than they have in the past. So whatever you've seen out of Osborne in the past, last year basically, I just think that's only going to be better this year because the offense is going to be far more pass heavy than it's been in the past. So I just think he's got a huge opportunity. And as the third wide receiver and a team that's going to do a lot of 3 wide receiver sets. And they bring in that Rams offense, and I think they were the highest 3 wide receiver set team in the league, the Rams last year. And so you're bringing a coach over from that McVay.
Sounds about right.
That's going to do a lot of more 3 wide receiver sets, and I just think Osborne's going to be a huge part of that. So, yeah, I just think wide receiver 68 and wide receiver 74, the 2 KJs are going to get it done.
KJs. Mate.
Yeah.
After we had such a fight about an AJ last week, and now he's bringing the KJs, and I love it. I love it.
Hey,
because
what about
we're in a spot where
MJ?
it's so deep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
MJ,
trust
the kid
Osborne on
has-
the bottom of my bench. I was like, he's there free. Hamler's there for anyone who wants him. He's still there. I didn't take him on because I've got Cortland Sutton. I've sort of already got a piece of that Broncos receiving core. I just thought it probably wasn't worth it. I'm weirdly involved in the bloody Kenyon Drake and Mike Davis, whoever's taken over that running back situation. So locked in there. So I probably won't pick up at the moment, but I think he's very good speculative ad at wide receiver 74 or whatever he's going at the moment.
Yeah, I bet. What are you thinking there, Manjot?
Yeah, MJ the kid wants to come in and say some words about the KJs. Not about the AJs this week.
MJ the kid.
I had to sit through 25 minutes of AJ talk last week. So MJ the kid coming
One
back.
eternity later.
Yeah. That was a great drop. Yeah. One eternity later, we're here with the KJs. And look, I'm really loving KJ Hamler. He's a
Really?
very good guy. I've actually been looking at him in a few leagues. I think he's a guy I'm really interested in. He really has that third wide receiver sort of thing. And if there's an injury to Judy or Sutton, hopefully not, then KJ Hamler, he's going to skyrocket again.
Yeah.
If he's going to, the only problem is that ACL he's coming back from.
Yeah.
That's the only thing that's knocking him
Yeah.
back. With KJ Osborne, a very deep sleeper, but he could very much end up as a wide receiver too. He could be a good guy to get in Dynasty as well, especially with Thielen coming up with age. I think he could really
He
be
would
a
not
wide
cost you
receiver
much.
too on the Vikings in a couple of seasons. So
He
yeah, I'm
won't-
really
he
liking
won't cost
that.
much either. He'll be a cheap little, you could probably go just drift a third in front of someone's nose for KJ Osborne today.
100%.
Now's the time to get in on him because I honestly think he's only going to get better.
Yeah, 3 weeks' time, you might be too late. I like this. We're talking about guys who've got clear paths to opportunity, even if their opportunity is a little capped before that. But I mean, they've got exponential growth, which is all you're looking for. If you're playing a 10-team league, there's a chance you've got a 6 to 7 man bench. And man, you can go and pick up Nico Collins or one of these sorts of guys. So, I think I'd rather stick my hand on someone like this, who I just feel like both of the ones that you've mentioned there, Tay, and also who you're bringing, Manjot, I love them.
Yeah.
And I don't know how much love I'll get for the one I'm bringing. And it was only because I was researching for a segment with something I was producing in other places this week. But I got into a little bit of the weeds with wide receiver 2 on a team who is going undrafted. Any guesses?
I'm going to guess Jacoby Myers.
I was thinking Pats too because I'm like, what teams would no one be
Yeah.
taking the wide receiver 2?
Because no one's taking the wide
no.
receiver 1.
I'm just going to say Marvin Jones because it's from the Jacks.
It's Marvin Jones from the Jags.
Of course.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Oh, well.
Of course. He's that Jags
Now,
guy.
this is not a
I can't
homer
believe I got
call.
that.
But no, and you're right. So I was researching this for a segment because, of course, I'm the island's leading analyst on the Jags for fantasy, and you can find me at all our places that we've mentioned at the top, and we'll mention at the bottom of the show. But the reason I got into the weeds on this is that, well, what are the Jags wide receiver values? Well, really, Kirk's about the only one you could be bothered taking in a 10-team league, and you would have to be in a league with much more depth before you even bothered. But if you've got a 7th bench spot, and this guy was responsible for over 800 yards, only 4 touchdowns last year, and what was a pretty anemic offense, but that's a third of their touchdowns. That's a third of their receiving touchdowns. You're bringing Christian Kirk. Still, I mean, this is a guy who was good for 10 points a week last year. I just don't know how, if the offense is going to get better, how he doesn't just see some sort of part on it. He's going to be on the field quite a bit. And I think there's a world where he's owned in more than 50% of 10-team leagues, even if he's not started in heaps. I think there's just a little world where his value creeps up, and because he's just on the field in ways that some of these other guys you're bringing up aren't yet, even though his potential's a little capped by the offense. I just sort of think, if I'm going the whole hog on believing that this offense is better than last year, which they kind of have to be, then I really need to believe in Marvin Jones.
I've always been a pretty big Marvin Jones fan. Like, even last year, I took shots on him. I think I might even brought him up in waiver wire pickups, or even looked at him. I think I picked him as a start of the week in Seattle or something one week last year. I just always thought he was a decent chance of sort of breaking out, even though, like, obviously that team was just horrendous under Urban Meyer. But that's the only thing that sort of worries me. And again, saying worries is probably not the right word, because when you're talking about a deep sleeper, like, you don't really have to worry about worries, because
you don't like him, just cut him.
You pick him up for a week and see what happens, and then like you said, they're actually easy cut bait. But I do worry in a way that, like, because it's not this regime that picked him up, and that's why I like Kirk so much, is because they went out and got him. But again, like, Marvin Jones, like, has the pedigree. I know he's getting on in age, but, like, again, it's another one of those ones where you're getting in front of the Lawrence breakout. Like, if you really think that Lawrence could break out this year, you're getting a guy that has high pedigree and has proven it on other teams, like on shitty Lions teams and stuff. Like,
he had a 4-touchdown day on the Bengals.
Yeah, exactly. Like, a guy that can get it done on a lot of different sort of bad teams. Like, if you can get an actual half decent offense in the Jags this year, get the breakout of Lawrence, you're actually getting way in front of it again. Like, I brought that up with Kirk even. But if you get this guy, like, that's even, like, he's basically double the ADP of Kirk at the moment. So
he's
like,
wide receiver 70, 11 billion. Like, it's yeah. And I think the thing about it too is you don't even need Trevor Lawrence to break out. You only need him to come up to average.
Yeah. Everyone forgets how bad this offense was last year. Like, them and the Giants were just like absurdly below average.
So what do you think,
We're
Manjot?
talking about the Giants. Kenny Golladay, I was going to throw him out because we're mentioning Marvin Jones, a former Lions wide receiver. Now, he's not one of my deep sleepers because I'm still thinking of my second one, because it was in my head.
Did you get it? Did you find it?
Oh, it's not there yet. But I do want to talk a little Kenny Golladay. Now, that's a bit of the pitfall I'm looking at Marvin Jones, because Kenny Golladay, he's not come out and performed to that contract at all.
No.
It's not looking like a good situation there in the Giants.
That's the worst contract in the league.
It's one of them, 100%. People laugh at that Kirk contract, and I just think Kenny Golladay is a way worse contract. He's showing way little effort in training camp. Any clips of him have been of him just showing the least amount of care. He's a zero fucks given attitude right now.
He knows he's getting paid.
He knows that 4
he's
years.
Just doing the full Albert Hainsworth, is he?
He is, and more.
Going whole Hainsworth. Do you know he got drafted in our league at round 13, pick 198? That's where you have to go to be someone who wants Kenny Golladay on your team, and his name is Scuba Steve's.
Mate, I was gonna guess Kenny in our league,
the playmaking bobsled team.
Get him
namesake. The playmaking bobsled team.
I'd rather Wan'Dale Robinson. Like, I've always been sort of against rookie wide receivers and redraft, but I actually think Wan'Dale Robinson might have a decent year for him.
Well, it's the funny handcuff, because Scuba has got Wan'Dale Robinson in the 11th round,
he does.
and then backed him up with Kenny Golladay. So he's got two horses in that race. Because someone's got to catch it there, and it can't all be Kadarius Toney. And I believe that it won't be all Kadarius Toney. I don't think he's going to return what people think anyway. So I love this whole thing of, well, Kenny Golladay is kind of the unwashed and the unloved at the moment, a miscreant, a loser, riffraff. And until he proves otherwise, that's correct. But fuck me, it'd be a nice little own to have if he proves otherwise and he goes back to his Lions days where he was Babytron. Remember when he was Babytron? Anyone?
That was a long ass time ago. Yeah.
Big waste.
What's funny is
I found my second
it was heaps long ago, but it wasn't. It was like 2 years ago.
2 years. He was a pretty hot free agent just last offseason.
Yep.
What the fuck?
Yeah, I think another deep sleeper. All right, this is going to be my second one.
Here he
easily.
is.
Yeah, I think this is
Any more KJs?
I actually don't remember who I was going with my second one, but this is a guy I've actually been interested in. His ADP overall is like 208. Our running backs is like 65 in standard leagues.
Oh, running back. I
69.
like it.
Yeah, 69 in PPR according to Fantasy Pros, the consensus across all sites.
Who is this?
Yeah, he's in a run-heavy offense. He's the RB2. I know he's coming off an
Price?
injury.
Oh, damn it.
He's
gonna
coming
say-
off an injury, and his RB1 is going way higher. But I think you should take a flyer on him, especially in the waivers. It's Gus Edwards, the Gus Bus. I'm willing. I know a deep sleeper.
No, I'm not laughing at you. I
That's
just
deep.
talked so much about Gus the last 2 years.
This guy wanked in the Gus Busters general direction last year, Manjot. Absolutely it was unbelievable.
Sorry to cut in on Manjot. I've just got to say this because everyone brought it up at the Kelly Cup draft. So last year when we started our dynasty, I was like skipping all over the place. Like I don't want to like celebrate an injury, but when J.K. Dobbins went down, I had Gus Bus, and I'd already been talking him up like he was a value anyway. And when he went down, I was just like skipping all over the place. Like I was just a kid in a candy store talking about everything, and like not. Like, I legitimately feel like I may as well have just gone into Gus's knee and torn his ACL for him. Like, I basically ruined his season because I just took so much shit about having Gus about to be the lead guy, and then he just goes down as well. So like, everyone brought it up at the bloody draft the other day. So I'm looking forward to hearing your analysis, mate, because I'm all about the Gus Bus.
He is.
I think he's a better value J.K. Dobbins, and this is a very controversial take. But I just don't know who's the RB1 in that offense. And I'd rather.
I think he's also under center.
Yeah, Dobbins. Oh, yeah. Look, no, don't. No. I have to hear the Lamar jokes. No.
Yeah, well, who's going to hit 1,000 yards first, huh?
Yeah, it's got to be. I mean, he's the best.
You tell
quarterback in the
me.
league. Most talented quarterback in the league. I mean, he can do it all. So, he can play quarterback and running back. No other quarterback can do that. I'll take the RB jokes. Yeah. But honestly,
made them all.
Yeah. Honestly, out of the actual guys that are listed at running back, who would you put? Obviously, Dobbins is everyone's running back one, but we still don't know about him. And we don't know about Edwards. We don't know who's actually the running back one and who's going to perform better. And you never know with a guy like Edwards, he can be a better value Dobbins because we don't know. Could they get 50-50 split? Is it going to be a 60-40 Dobbins? Even then, if it was like a 60-40, maybe 65-35, I'd still like the value of Edwards as a sort of bench player for your team. He could even slot into the flex some leagues. And if Dobbins is off to a slow start and Edwards is flying out the gate, Edwards is going to be a popular waiver wire pickup. He's going to be owned in like 99% of leagues at some point. Like if that situation happens, and I'm honestly looking at taking a chance on the Gus Bus in a few leagues because it just feels like good value if he's going at running back 69 in PPR, and his RB1, who we don't know about either role. If his RB1 is going way higher, then I'm obviously taking the chance of the Gus Bus more than Dobbins. That's just how I'm feeling.
The main reason probably is he's on the pup, so he can't play the first 4 weeks. So
yeah.
So that's probably it. And honestly, this is why I've sort of just grabbed the two of them at the moment. I'm still not sure, like you said, about Dobbins either. Well, I think the fact that, obviously they got Mike Davis early, he was just more like quick collateral just because they weren't sure exactly what was going on with those two. But the fact they've gone after Kenyon Drake, who is expected to sign now, I'm not sure that Dobbins is ready either. And the fact that he had not only an ACL, there was an MCL issue. It didn't seem to be very clear-cut ACL injury, and it was very similar to Gus's, who's now missing the first 4 weeks. I'm not so sure about that running back room either. Which again, it's sort of throwing me into the whole thing where I would probably look at Mark Andrews more again now, because my whole thing about Mark
Come
Andrews,
full circle.
I thought the running back room was going to be better this year, and they were going to run the ball more, and they weren't going to have to pass like they did last year. But I think it's just going to be all systems go again. Like I think Lamar's just who's he going to? He's going to hand off to the ass sandwich, bread ass bread. Or he's going to have to go himself, or he's going to have to pass to Mark Andrews or Rashad Bateman. I think it actually is probably starting to look like it's all go for the passing game again. So,
just for those at home, Brett asked Brett is Mike Davis.
For anyone who hasn't listened to us in the past, that is Mike Davis.
Yeah. Just clearing that up.
I don't hate the call, Manjot, and honestly, the reason he's probably at that low is because of the fact he's on the pup. But he's probably a guy to look at around week 3. Week 4, because if he does come back and Dobbins still hasn't really shown that he's 100% ready to take that role, Gus's yards per carry are just insane. Again, it's hard when he's coming off an ACL too, but I don't know. He's going to be good value with 69. When he comes into plays, because he's probably going to be just as banged up as J.K. Dobbins is, and you know he's probably going to be less of an ass sandwich than Mike Davis, and Kenyon Drake. Raiders. So, it's a hard one, but it's a value play, and if you can see him on the bottom of your bench, why wouldn't you?
Yeah, if the Ravens mascot is getting injured in the fucking mascot game, then you know that this is a team that has some sort of curse. I think the Niners passed it on to them.
Yeah, it was long overdue that someone else got that curse, wasn't it?
Yeah, and unfortunately, it's my boy Lamar's team. It happens to be a team I love as well. Come on, man.
Yeah, what couldn't happen to the Texans? Oh, wait, hang on. The Texans are cursed already.
Yeah.
That's an interesting thing to talk about, right? I'll just quickly say is Dameon Pierce. How much we're not talk this isn't a deep sleeper talk. This is, the opposite. Everyone is just talking this guy up. But the fact that Marlon Mack got released was massive for him. Marlon Mack was still we're not sitting here saying that Marlon Mack was going to be some awesome fantasy prospect or anything like that, coming off a couple of years ago off his own tournament. But the fact that he's not there, he was projected to be the starter, and then all of a sudden they've obviously seen enough from Pierce to completely drop Mack. So he's just all guns blazing at the moment. I don't even know. You could move him up honestly at the top of the dead zone running backs. I think right now it's pretty amazing rise for a rookie.
Yeah, anyone who sort of scooped him up before last week would be feeling damn good about themselves.
For sure.
And I play quite a bit of Dynasty. I think I'm in about 6 of them. And just wherever I could, I just took him. Yep. Him and James Cook were the 2 guys I was just taking places. And the places I've got Dameon Pierce, my God, I feel good about myself. I feel so smart.
I talked him up so much too, but I just never was in the right spot. I was so in on him at the start of any dynasty. Well, I've only got 2 dynasties for starters, but
we'll fix that by next year. Yeah.
The problem was I think I was the 6th pick in that FFL, and it was just too early for him, especially back then. We did our draft for that months ago.
Yeah, and that was not a league where you were going to find a quick trade.
Yeah, and by the time I got to my 2nd round pick, he was gone.
He was going to be gone.
And then I didn't have a pick till 208 in my other dynasty league, and he went at 206. So I just didn't have a chance to get him, but I was in on him too. I then started to think his redraft value was going to be too high, but with this Marlon Mack news, I think it is all guns blazing for him. You do have to temper him a bit, because in the end, he is still a Houston Texans running back. How many red zone looks is he going to have? But in the end, it looks like he's the real deal, and he looks like he's very talented. So in the end, if he gets 80%, I'm not saying he's going to get Najee-like workload, but if he gets 80% of it on a team that might win some more games than we all expect, I can't see why he's not going to be a value there and get ahead of guys like Miles Sanders and Clyde Edwards-Helaire and stuff like that.
Volume's volume. I mean, you see plenty of much more talented players who don't get opportunity kind of just fizzle away.
Look at Robinson last year.
Yeah.
He was running back 8 before he went down on that Jags team.
Opportunities and everything.
Urban Meyer just dry humping poles.
Right, and then you get like big names drafted like 2 overall, or meant to be the guys who go into gold jackets. Saquon Barkley, who just had a half year last year, and you see undrafted free agent guy on a terrible team, you know, smashing puss and touchdowns, and he was all out of puss. So it's late. My brain is not sharp. But I got to tell you,
100.
this happens every week. We get onto the mic, and now that the season's getting close to, how easy is the conversation? There's 600 things to talk about. Everything segues into the next thing, and I am so excited to be doing the regular weekly shows with you guys. Kicking off next week.
Talking fantasy football for like 4 months, like as in like once it gets actually to the time, it's just like amazing.
I can't wait.
Since the draft, essentially since the lead up to the NFL draft, and we've just been go since then. And
since I made my Elijah Moore call literally at the end of last season, it's just been all guns blazing.
It's been all it's been like the Rolling Stone gathers no moss. That's been a timeless call.
It is funny that he's ended up in your team. It'll like if he takes you to the fantasy title, I'll feel like I get a win out of that. I'll feel good.
It's teamwork right there.
Teamwork makes
sharing is caring.
Like I said to you, like if he takes you to a title, he'll probably take me to 7 titles because I'll probably have him in 7 other leagues.
This is like all those leagues where I had Chubba Hubbard and Alexander Madison last year, where I didn't actually have the starters. I just had those two. And because I started so many games, I had all these crap teams where I had nice wide receivers and shit running backs. But gee, those two were getting some snaps, and I was winning games.
I went 0 RB in Kelly Cup last year and went like 12-3 or something, and then lost first round. We had the stupid way where it's like 1 versus 8.
Everyone makes it.
Everyone makes it basically, and then I got dusted. But then I've had this year, we've decided to go to 6 teams to do it properly. And this will be the year I get 7th.
It fucking will be, mate. Manjot, I get used to that, Manjot. We were 1 win out of the playoffs 2 years in a row, man.
Yeah.
It's rough. One of those years we had 8 wins. There's never been a time an 8-win team didn't make the playoffs in a 13-week regular season.
Crazy.
Was that 2 seasons ago?
That was just like when I was
fucking pandemic.
That random fantasy league. Yeah. That random fantasy league last year we played on ESPN, Matty, and the 2 weeks I came up clutch, I just absolutely destroyed your team. And you went like 8-5. And
I've been so good at the start of the year. I started like 7-1. And my one was lost to you, and then we met again, and you just dusted the fuck out of me.
I was 0-6 in Astro, and Ryan's like thing that he sent out was bringing me up as the 100 power ranking every week, and I was 0-6. Still with my head in.
Because he'd be projected for like 127, he'd put up a 72.
that game against Jerry.
The Falcons Packers Monday night game.
We're getting some. This is an Astros memory.
Oh, that'll always come up. That'll be on my deathbed. I'll never forget that. That is the infamous poo emoji.
Julio was out, and Calvin Ridley was going to go bang. Matt Ryan needed to do almost nothing.
Calvin Ridley, I still not sure. I think someone else brought someone else up, but it kind of happened very often that the wide receiver 1 going into a week puts up a goose egg.
Yeah. He was the top wide receiver in all of fantasy.
That was
scored a 0.
I needed that.
Like a combined 9 points out of the wide receiver 1, Matt Ryan and Hayden Hurst. And Hayden Hurst got the most out of the 3.
Yeah, because Ryan put up a negative, didn't he?
6 or 7 of the 9 I needed or something.
But then Ryan took points off him and Ridley put up a 0 and you lost by 4. It was
Ridley was the pure goose.
Utterly. And I mean, in the first quarter, I'm like, well, Taylor's got this. And I started saying it in the group.
I know.
Like, and shut up.
And it just kept dropping my projection. It was just falling out the arsehole end. It was like 127 at the start. Half time, it's like 98. It's like I should still win by 23 or something.
You should have easily had 40 points from that game, and you ended up with 6.
So everything that could have gone wrong went wrong, and I still had a chance on the last drive. I still had Matt Ryan on the drive to try and like get like just a shitty touchdown at the end. Like that's how bad that loss was. Was that I literally had 3.5 quarters of the worst possible scenario, and I still nearly won.
I can remember the rant you gave about Matt Ryan, and we were recording it in the middle of the day. It was a day where I was away with work, and I was pretty much just sitting at a train station in a country town listening to you lose your mind.
Well, because it wasn't just that. It was that I had in Kelly Cup, I tied because of a Hayden Hurst catch, and then on a recount I lost.
They got stat corrected.
I thought I drew, and a stat correction came in. I lost by 0.1. So that's why it was just all like that's when I fully went poo emoji on like every league because I was 0-6 in 3 leagues. 3 leagues, 0-6. What a year! One of them, to be fair, one of them was the Vampire League. So like, if you lost to a vampire, you just fucking lost your best player. Yeah. So like, every single week it felt like I was against a vampire, and I just kept losing and just kept losing my best player. So I just kept getting worse.
Oh god. That's insane.
Taylor's Texans, right there.
That's honestly, that's pretty much like I think David Johnson was just like carrying my team for the rest of the year.
Far out, and we know how solid of a fantasy asset he was in the last couple of seasons of his career.
Yeah, and the fact that he's not getting plucked out of my team. The funniest thing by the end of the year was that like vampires would play my team, and they had no idea who to take out of my team because it was so shit.
Like I could take Paris Campbell or
like
Tyler
Eifert. It's like waiver wire people in my my best players like a waiver wire.
I'm going to take Burkhead.
How many games do you even win in that league?
I don't know. It was like 3 or something. It was just I don't know.
Wins.
Burkhead it is.
How do you get 3 wins?
I don't know. I'd love to go back and see my final roster. It must have just been absolute dog shit.
Mate, we need to post that on Instagram or something.
I think the only reason I even won games is because what would happen is if you were going all right in that league and you were against a vampire, you could sort of tank. Like you could sort of take your good players out. So you
hide them. Yeah, because they can only take someone from your starting lineup.
Yeah, you can only take someone from your starting lineup that you played. So if someone played
your top guys,
they're like, well, I could seriously beat this team with my waiver wire guys. So that I would actually start getting some free wins at the end of the year because people would like be like, well, I'm not going to risk losing to Taylor and losing. I don't know who it was back then. Just wouldn't be Justin.
But your prize is like, great. So I'm going to get Jesse James off you. Fantastic.
Yeah, it's not like the risk reward. It was just not right. Like, why would you risk like picking up no one off me and then me somehow stealing Tyreek Hill off you just before the playoffs?
Yeah, 100%. So it's like, no, actually, you can take DeMarcus Robinson because that's who I started.
Exactly.
Yeah,
who
that's
I
a whole.
Lost to.
That's a whole nother element. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love all these fantasy variations.
They're cool. I've never even played a keeper. I've done like literally everything except the keeper.
Mate, how is he not in the Astros?
Why isn't Marky Mark just offering you to co-own his keeper team? That guy's an asshole.
There was a couple of years ago where you thought you were going to extend a couple of teams out, and I
fought to get that thing out to 16, Tay. I fought for you, mate.
It doesn't. I'm fine. Like I'm looking at about 9 leagues or something this year, so I'm not like desperate for leagues.
Fought the good fight, mate. I'll keep campaigning, mate. Every year that poll comes out, I'll keep going 16. I'll give you the click.
Thanks, man.
Yeah.
Because that'll be you and Manjot, right? We'll get Manjot his own team.
Surely, yeah.
Or maybe he can just have my team and I'll start again.
Too easy.
I've been joking about that, becoming a full-time commissioner in the Astros and just selling my franchise, but I don't know if I ever could.
Property. I was talking about in the group chat again. I started the show talking about property law and that whole public defender thing, but fantasy football teams are actually technically property as well. That's something I learned. Property ain't just like houses and apartments. It's also like goods and stuff. And I think fantasy football team would count as property. You can have a succession plan for your fantasy football team. I think me and Matty got that sorted out.
100%.
I'm definitely the successor to Matty's football team. Taylor, I think Avery really is going to be in the plans. I'm just going to put out Avery there. No pressure, mate.
Well, he took picks in round 9 and 10, and look at him go. He's done great.
Mate, if you asked me to get down the Piston Cup, like from Cars. Like he's on the Astro League Cup, the Piston Cup.
That's so great.
That's good. It's twin car.
Well, we've come full circle. I can't think of a better spot to wrap it up and let you guys run. Manjot, quickly plug your social media, and I'll plug the rest of the show stuff, and we'll get out of here.
Yeah, Pastry Press NFL, Pastry Press Sports died, Pastry Press AFL died, so it's just NFL now. Pastry Press
Pastry
Sports
Press
will come-
Quidditch.
Yeah,
Pastry
all
Press Ice
those-
Hockey is coming though.
Yeah, every other Pastry Press except the NFL died off though. That's very sad.
I was really sad to see the end of Pastry Press lawn bowls, because through the Commonwealth Games, I was following that fucker. You know it.
Yeah, that was good.
Absolutely.
That was a good time. No one could believe it. Yeah, I remember in the Commonwealth Games coverage, I talk about people making pastries. So that's how you know he actually made an impact there.
Oh.
They were mentioning Pastry
More
Press.
more pastry talk. I'm getting hungry.
Yeah,
100%.
100%. Yeah, I was. We're just in sync there.
Right
That's how
there.
you know it's drafting.
It's a mind meld. It's a mind
Yeah.
meld.
Pastry Press NFL on Instagram, Pastry Press Sports on TikTok. There's still some other sports. So it's going to be mainly NFL on that TikTok, but it's just there's other sports.
Curling.
Yeah, there's got to be some curling someday. Yeah,
netball, you name it.
Yeah, netball, AFL, NRL, anything. Yeah.
Tiddlywinks, you name it.
Yeah, I did
Jacks.
drop that content schedule yesterday. Still.
So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. There could be some things that I might have to backtrack on. Some things that might be like power rankings that may not even make it to the final content schedule, and people be like, "Oh, but where are your power rankings?" But guys, don't come at me either line. So
No ats at the Manjot the Myth Legend. Thanks. Keep it to yourself.
no adding the Pastry Press, missing a power rankings. But yeah.
Well, now and then, of course, you can find us through our link tree at Aussie NFL Fantasy. It's where we've got links to everything. The YouTube show, which if you've been lucky enough to watch, you've seen us look like complete morons most of the night and have a great time, but you can hear it as well thanks to all the podcast platforms we're on, and the links are through there. But also we're on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram. We're even on Snapchat these days. All of those are Aussie NFL Fantasy, and even through Twitter, AU NFL Fantasy. And forget, we've got an email address too. You can send us screenshots of your team, and we'll rate you. We will rate you. We will criticize. We will laud you. We will applaud you. It is AussieNFLFantasy@gmail.com. And then lastly, if you would like to leave us a voice message, and this is a function we've used before to great success, you can head over to anchor.fm/Aussie NFL Fantasy and leave us a voicemail of up to a minute. And you can leave multiples, but it does stop you at a minute. And then you could be on the show. Tay, have you got anything to plug?
Everyone has KJs. No.
Mate, you forgot
Just love my boys.
Pigeon and
Love my
everything.
boys, the KJs. Keep an eye out for me. I'm dropping occasionally some bold calls on the TikToks. So
Yes.
We got
about it.
we
Done
got
a
a new
couple on
TikTok
there.
series.
Done a couple on there, but no, all good. Just I'm obviously at Talor41. You can just throw shit at me. That's pretty much what I'm used to. But yeah, send us your teams. We're nothing but great criticizers on this podcast, and me and Matty especially at each other. So throw us. We absolutely love fantasy football. That's what we're here for. So
We live
send
it.
us whatever you need to, and it's draft season. I've got another